Team what can you tell us? Is there a chance of a few debutants there?
Well, there's a chance. We've obviously got to pick the team probably tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll finalise it Thursday after training, but we've been happy with some of the new boys that have come in the team. They've done a terrific job so far. What it looks like in the wash up on Thursday, we'll have to wait and see. But so far, they've really shown that they're in that mix of being able to play senior football. It's just whether we pull the trigger this week, and if so, who we do it with. So it's good to have some pressure from those boys come in and then some opportunities that'll be created because of that. So yeah, we've been happy with how they've gone so far.
It's a shorter pre-season. Has there been enough for those, particularly the draftees, to show they're AFL ready?
Well, it's true. I mean, it is what it is. It's sometimes you sit back and you look at the problems it could create, and maybe the ifs, buts, and maybes not to play them, and then over the last few years we've probably looked at the opportunities that they've created for younger players. So we've looked at the other side of the coin and tended to go with that. We're aware that there's a couple of things at play this year. Obviously, the game time goes up a significant amount than what it was last year. Another quarter. Some rule changes, interchange goes down. All of those things come into the mix, and we'll be sort of working through those things and coming up with a decision Thursday.
And I'm sure the coaches would prefer a bit of a longer pre-season. Maybe it feels a bit rushed, but how do you think the players have taken to that, and what sort of impacts have it had compared to other years?
Well, I think the players probably like the fact that it's not an extended pre-season. The older guys came in really. They started the 6th of January, and got going. So it's we needed to make sure we got all of the training into the players that we needed to. And I guess what last year showed us was a number of things. And as long as you come back in good condition, which the majority of our list did, it gives you the opportunity to ramp it up pretty quickly in January. We still had a few that were recovering from various operations, so we didn't get them going until the end of January. But really from February onwards, we've had a reasonable numbers out in the training track, and that's a good start, because you need to get to the starting gates in reasonable condition, because it's obviously a long season, and we start with a team that's been the best home and away performing team over the last 2 years in Brisbane on their home deck. They've won the most amount of games over the last 2 years, and in the home and away series. So they're a really good team. What they've done up there has been fantastic. So a great opportunity for us to go up there on their home deck. We're really looking forward to it.
John, just regarding your top draft pick there, Logan McDonald, there was a lot of interest in him pre-season with that cameo in the last game. What are the sort of factors that you have to weigh up to decide whether he gets a go? Because it seems like he's the kind of player you might need when you're short on guys like Buddy and that in terms of tall forwards.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's we look at him and think that he's going to be a short, medium, and long-term player. It's not just about this week. So if you're looking at this week's game, it's absolutely in a tall forward sense, could he help us? Yes, he could. And we've also got a couple of blokes that played in our reserves last week that have been on our list for a couple of years, and McLean and Armity, that have done a good job, and so they come into consideration as well. So it's not just about Logan, it's about all the players that could play that role for us, and then it's about whether we can how many we take in for that first game, and the excitement that they give you, young blokes. It's always a great time when you have young blokes in the team. They give you great excitement levels, and they really have no fear of mistakes, and that's a terrific way to be when you're a young bloke.
Speaking of injury, we saw Isaac Heaney last year, he missed most of the season. How's he looking heading into this one?
Yeah, Isaac's been terrific so far. It's great to have a couple of games under his belt. We were aware last year was a significant injury and a significant operation that he had, so it took him a long time to get over that. And what really helps is Isaac's one of the most professional players that we've got, and he works just so hard on getting himself right, and he's naturally really fit and keeps himself in great condition. So that's meant that we've been able to get a couple of games into him, and he's in so far so good as far as how he looks for this week. We're really looking forward to getting him back in the team and getting him in that forward half with occasional run in the midfield when he can give us a bit of firepower at both ends of the ground, and really some he's a unique player, and we're really glad to get him back in the team.
Just on Logan McDonald, does his potential opponent have any bearing on whether you pick him? Like obviously debut on potentially Harrison Andrews, is that a daunting prospect to make your debut?
Oh, I think wherever you play as a key forward in the AFL, you're going to be up against a pretty reasonable key defender, so it's going to happen at some point. That all comes into the mix, but we're conscious of there'll be just small steps. These young blokes, when they come into the team, there can be high expectations on them, but we're also conscious that careers aren't built overnight. You need to take small steps before you get going, and we also know that at some point you need to take the step, and that's against whatever defender you play on, and no matter what player you play on, no matter what position, when you play your first game at AFL level, they're going to be really good. So at some point you've got to take the step.
What about Jake Lloyd and Callum Mills? Are they going to be cherry ripe this weekend?
We expect them both to play. Yep.
So with Callum Mills, I understand that for the concussion protocols now, he needs to do 3 training runs, one of those a full contact session. What of those requirements does he have to tick off still?
We expect he'll be fine. So he's gone through all the protocols. We expect him to be fine. I think it'll be as we've seen. I think I was reading where one player got hit by a golf ball, and it's. I think there'll be some discussion this year about it. It'll be a bit different for particularly supporters, clubs to get used to, players. That's one thing you're sort of looking through the year and what might bob up. There'll be a bit of discussion about it. It is what it is at clubland. We just get on with it and go through the right protocols, and we expect him to be fine.
So are you doing anything differently this year that other than following the 12 days and those sorts of protocols, or is there a different approach that the Swans are taking to that?
Like what?
To dealing with players that are suffering concussion symptoms?
No, I mean we go through all the guidelines and protocols that we're supposed to go through, and we understand it's a contact sport. These things are going to happen as well, and the players understand that, and we follow the right protocols as all the clubs do. So it's just a matter of understanding that that's part of contact sport. It's going to happen, and when it does happen, you deal with it. So it's very much one foot in front of the other.
Johnny, you're supportive of the chat at the moment about a concussion sub, maybe being called in as early as this weekend. It seems a bit late to bring those sort of things up. It may be a bit late, but I guess as what we learned out of last year was to be, what were the buzzwords? Flexible and agile. So we learnt that last year, and so I'm sure that there's room for all sorts of things to be flexible and agile this year, and maybe that's one of the opportunities. The game's changed a little bit since the sub rule was sort of taken out, I guess. 3 to 4, this would be 4 to 5. The concussion protocols have obviously been heightened. The interchange has been lessened. There's been a number of different things that have come into it. Certainly should be looked at. It's been mentioned. Whether it gets legs or not, who knows? We'll deal with what's ever in front of us this week. Whatever decision's made, we'll get into it.
What about the under 21 element that's been flagged with that? Would you be supportive, like if a sub does come in the post and sit there, that it would be like a nice development tool as well?
I understand that. I understand it. Whether I'd be supportive or not of it, I just we'll do what we're told, as we do with most things, and get on with it. In the end, should it be under 21? Should it be for 22 or 23-year-olds only played 3 games? Should he be seen in that light as well? Maybe. So you can understand there'd be a strong argument for that as well. I think wherever you go with it, there's always going to be someone come up with a counter view. So we'll put our faith in whoever makes a decision and then get on with it.
I'm just curious as to your thoughts as a non-involved coach on the Amazon documentaries that have come out. I think you mentioned you might have seen 1 or 2 episodes over the weekend. It's a strange insight, I guess, into environments that we wouldn't get to see, and even you for opposition clubs. What were your takeaways from what you've seen?
Oh, well, it was just so happened to be a pretty wet day in Sydney yesterday, so it was a good day to sit back and watch a bit of vision on the telly, and it just reminds you what last year was like. It's talking to some staff about it, some players that have seen it. It just puts you back into where we were this time last year, and let's not forget it was pretty uncertain what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen in the next hour, let alone the next day or the next week. So it was really interesting to watch. But it's most footy clubs are pretty similar. We all had different experiences, but in the end, ultimately the mood of the place and how things are set are dependent upon how you go on the ground and how competitive you are, and that'll never change. The environment certainly was different last year. We have to acknowledge that, and I guess from the watchers' point of view, they were able to have a bit of an insight into the hub environments, which were quite different.
Buddy Franklin out there on the how far off is he from returning?
He won't play this week. He had a fantastic session here on Saturday. So we'll just wait and see. We've got a framework of decision making around him, and then the detail of that's we sort of move from session to session on based upon how he's feeling. So he had a really good session here on the weekend. He's been training for a while now with the squad, and we'll see how this week goes, and then we'll see how next week goes. So he's not playing this week, but we'll see how things progress from there.
John, Joe Danaher was widely reported to be close to joining the Swans 18 months ago. Instead, he's going to be lining up against you for his first game against Brisbane on Saturday night. Do you have any special plans in mind for him, or an idea of who might play on him, whether it's Melican or Parsons?
Oh yeah, well look, you've got an idea of who's going to be in that back 6 or 7 that we play down there. But it's good to see that he's had a great pre-season injury-wise. I think from his perspective, he's a really good fella, and to be able to come back and have an injury-free pre-season is a good sign. But we'll treat him like anyone else, and they've got plenty of good players. As I said, they've been top 4 the last 2 years, and now they've added him. So they've got plenty of firepower. He's one of many.